After getting a sketchy ban, and because of that, being a bit late to the party, I have reached 1800 in one stream. In solo shuffle, obviously. So let me show you how I did it. Let's talk rotation, because that's the most important thing. So for dealing damage, before you do anything, press evocation. Although this usually helps you regain mana, it also increases your intellect by 14% on a full channeling, which means you will deal more damage. Then you cast Arcane Surge, followed by Nether Flux, which is the PvP talent that replaces the touch of the Magi. Then you go Arcane Missiles, then double Arcane Blast, which will consume your Arcane Missile stacks of Nether Precision. Then you cast Arcane Barrage to consume your charges. These are your Arcane charges, obviously. Or you can actually cast Arcane Barrage when you get the Glorious Incandescence, which causes your Arcane Barrage to deal 20% increased damage and grant 4 Arcane charges. And it calls down 4 meteorites on your target. Keep an eye on those charges, because these influence your Arcane Blast cast time. If you consume those and actually need Arcane charges, you can press Arcane Orbs. See, and you generate charges. And then you cast Arcane Blast super fast. Now let's see that in practice. So Evocation, Surge, Flux, Missiles, Blast, Blast, Missiles again. Because we got a proc Blast, Blast, Barrage, Blast, Blast, Barrage, Missiles, Blast, Blast, Barrage, Missiles, Barrage, Missiles, Flux, Barrage, Barrage, Missiles. So basically, with missiles, you generate the stacks, you consume them with Arcane Blast, and then you consume the charges with Barrage. You can also do those 2 Arcane Blasts for the stacks with the Presence of Mind. Instant, Barrage. You see I have 4 charges. Blast, Blast. As usual, reactive rotation. So Arcane Surge is your big burst cooldown. So make sure you don't get kicked on it. Although you will be kicked most of the time on 90% of your spells, because yeah, everything is of the arcane type. So if you want to prevent that, maybe cast Ring of Frost, maybe fake cast it even. Or if you actually get kicked on it, screw it, you got kicked, and then you can cast Arcane Surge. But if you get kicked again, then you're kind of screwed, and you're gonna have to wait for the next window. Maybe DB, Frost Nova Poly, or whatever. What I like to do is when I mid-cast something, I like to shimmer. That way, you get away from your target and reduce your chance to be kicked or silenced. When you're in a mid-cast of something, use a shimmer. So see, Blast is almost in the middle. Boom, shimmered. For the talents, as usual, I will link this build in the description. The change this season is that we play Sun Fury instead of Spellslinger, because we have an overpowered pet right there. And Glorious Incandescence feels very overpowered, still, even after the nerf. For the PvP talents, we go with Nether Flux, that replaces the touch of the Magi, and it's part of our rotation. Chrono Shift, so your Arcane Barrage slows the enemies, and you're gonna use Barrage a lot, as we have seen in the rotation section, and increases your movement speed, so you're gonna need that a lot, because you're gonna be trained as an Arcane Mage. Because if they don't focus you and you cast freely, you're gonna destroy everyone in that arena. And I choose Master Shepherd for the polymorph to not heal the enemy target. People play with overpowered barrier, but I just cannot really deal with that. I tried a lot of times, timing it right and all, but most enemies figure it out and they wait 4 seconds, the barrier is out, I have no absorbs on me anymore, and I'm very vulnerable to attacks. I would rather have a freaking 59-second barrier. Or I don't know. I'm just bad at that. For the gear and stats, the stat priority remains the same. Haste, versatility, mastery, crit. I recommend getting the 4 set, even though I did not have the 4 set and I still don't when I reach this rating. Trinkets, equipable, and the medallion obviously. Try to get every PvP item to have haste and verse, and if you don't get some of them, like for example feet, just get some Algari crafted gear with haste verse. For the gems, you can get the quick sapphire for verse and haste. That is when you actually socket your gear with the Astro's Jewelers setting. But keep a gem slot for the cognitive bloodstone, because you will need precog. You know, when you fake cast, someone kicks you but they did not actually kick you successfully, and you can cast afterwards freely because you're gonna be immune to kicks and CCs for a short while. And no, I did not have cognitive bloodstone either when I reached 1800. Yeah, a hassle. And you know, whenever I need more info on gearing and what other players use, you can go to murloc.io for more info on gear, enchants and gems. I'm not gonna mention all the enchants again. It's basically you have Crystalline Radiance on the chest, you have Authority of Radiant Power on the staff. It's basically the same as I previously mentioned in the other guides. I'm gonna put them here. 4 CCs. Frost Nova is your best friend here because you can snare a target, create some distance before you cast your never-ending arcane spells. Oh, I got a proc. And this is great, especially against melee trains like Ret, Warrior, and Demon Hunter. The only 3 DPS classes you're gonna encounter in solo shuffle. As always, Dragon's Breath, Polymorph works great. I cannot Polymorph for dummy, obviously. Polymorph can be followed by a Ring of Frost. You can also use Ring of Frost whenever you get kicked on Polymorph or any other arcane spell. Because by the way, if you get kicked on Poly, you cannot cast anything. No Surge, no Flux, no Blast, nothing. That's why Arcane is harder than Frost. But if you get kicked on those, just Ring of Frost, especially against melees. You're gonna freaking incap them for 10 seconds. That's insane. But if you get kicked on that too, well, then you're You also have Blast Wave, which you can just knock back enemies. And if they cast something, you basically kick them on that. And our never-ending slow from Barrage helps too. I don't spec into the actual slow spell because you do have a ton of slows with Arcane Barrage. And you can just essentially send it, see? And you're gonna get slowed. Send, slowed, send, slow. Chrono Shift gives you Perma slows, just like DKs. For defensives, we have our Prismatic Barrier, gives us an Absorb. Again, I'm not playing this with OP Barrier. Your duration of harmful magic effect is reduced by 40% as well, and Avoid is increased by 5%. We're not gonna avoid these melee trains, but yeah, that we're gonna take what we can get. As an Arcane Mage, I usually use Mirror Image earlier because that 20% damage reduction helps me a lot during early fights. So I delay as much as I can the use of Ice Block, which makes you immune to everything, but you have only one Ice Block on Arcane compared to Frost, where you can use Cold Snap and you can have 2 Ice Blocks. We also have the Mass Barrier that applies the same Absorb effect on you and your teammates. You can help a teammate in need with that, or you can help yourself as well. As always, I'm mentioning that you don't use Greater Invis for actual invisibility, especially in Shuffle. You use it for the 60% damage reduction for 3 seconds. So if, let's say, an Elemental Shaman Lava bursts me, boom, I Greater Invis, I get the defensive for 3 seconds, and I can just mitigate some damage. Use Alter Time at as much HP possible as you can. And you can also use that to kite. For example, say a Warrior or Demon Hunter charges you. You Shimmer, they charge you again. You use Displacement, and you put Alter Time right here. Make sure you have a lot of HP. Then you blink again if they charge, and then you Alter Time again. And now you have another Shimmer, and you can blink again. That's how it seems like mages have infinite blinks. We just use them right. But Alter Time can be susceptible to dispels, so watch out for that. Obviously, spell steal all the things you can, like Bops, the rest of Druid Hots, and everything like that. Even Power Word Shield. And as always, play a Night Elf so you can use the best defensive you have. Shadow Melt puts you into stealth, which interrupts targeting, and you negate damage. Also try to use your medallion as late as possible if you're not in danger, because you need to get away as much as you can from your target. It's hard as Arcane. I didn't mention counterspell, but yeah, kick Repentance, kick Flash Shield, kick major abilities from your enemies, especially the ones that can potentially CC your healer. 4 million crit right there almost. So yeah, I know it's a lot to take in. I hope I covered everything, and I hope this guide was helpful. If you have any questions or you want to add anything to this, please tell me in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this guide, give it a like and subscribe for more mage awesome builds and guides. I will see you guys next time. Peace! Ruffix takes the bag.